prayer is our access code to God for relativity. Prayer is our access code to God for relativity. Most of us think that prayer is for demand. Prayer is for request. It's okay. That is only a kind of prayer, but that's not the so. You limit the potency of prayer when you narrow it down to just request and demand. You limit the potency of prayer, the effectiveness, the prowess of prayer when you narrow it down to just demand and request. You reduce the potency. You abuse prayer when all that you think of is demand, request, desire. All of those are good, but that's not the purpose of prayer. Amen. Jesus, while he was teaching, if you check out the parables of Jesus, if you are observant of Jesus' parable, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, most of the apostles or the disciples or the gospels, as they are called, they had first-hand informations. And most of them wrote their accounts based on their career. When you see Matthew was a tax collector. When you see most financial issues, you see it with Matthew. When Matthew is talking about tax being paid, you will discover that the story of Jesus and the payment of tax was more elaborate in Matthew's account. Because Matthew was a tax collector. So in writing about taxes, he could write it clearly because that was his profession. Are you following what I'm talking about? Luke was a doctor. If Luke said, and you were healed, bro, you were healed. Because he's talking from his, and if you see the story of Luke, when he talks about healing, when Jesus comes to minister healing to people, he takes his time. And the man was carrying a bed. He was sick of the palsy. He will give you the name, he will identify the infirmity. And at the end, when he says it, you and we are healed. If Luke was a doctor, say you were healed, sir, you were healed. So they began to speak from their capacity. But there was something that is similar to all of them. Is the parables Jesus gave. Jesus, in all his discussions and trainings he gave his disciples, spoke 25 times on the subject of prayer. How many times? 25 times. He spoke about prayer more than any other topic. Any other topic. Everything he would teach will surmount and summarize in prayer. The whole Bible, prayer was spoken about 650 times. The concept of prayer, from Genesis to Revelation, 650 times was prayer mentioned and spoken about. And you must understand that God telling us to pray without ceasing is not an advice, it's an order. So prayerlessness is a sin. Prayerlessness is not just an indecision, it's a sin. And there is judgment for it. Psalm 79 verse 6. Pour out your wrath upon the hidden that have not known thee, and upon the kingdom that have not called upon thy name. I wish you get to that translation. He was saying, these people have not called your name, Lord. Pour your judgment upon them. These people have refused to pray. Pour your wrath. 1 Samuel 12:23. 1 Samuel 12:23. Look at the screen. Can we read it together so that it will sink into you? 1 to go. Moreover, as for me, God forbid that I should what? But I will teach you. God forbid that I would what? Sin against God. In doing what? So prayerlessness is what?